Today on the CTV News at 5.
I don't think she likes Alberta as it is. I think that's quite clear.
Things are getting personal on the election trail. Plus, how university students are trying to make their vote count in the provincial election. And how planting more female trees could help allergy sufferers.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Day 3 of the election campaign, and not only are the gloves off, but the candidates are now swinging.
I don't think she likes Alberta as it is. I think that's quite clear. The kind of province that
comment from Wild Rose leader Danielle Smith this morning at a news conference where Smith began with her pledge to reduce government bureaucracy. But the focus quickly changed. The leader of the Wild Rose was responding to a question about how her philosophies on the role of government differ from her main opponent, Alison Redford's. Smith began by describing her view that there's been too much red tape under a Tory-led government, but she then began questioning Redford's commitment to the province.
I think Ms. Redford doesn't like Alberta all that much. She doesn't like who we are. She doesn't like our character. She wants to change it. And I think that is going to be the ballot question.
Now, as for Premier Redford, her reaction, she is campaigning in Fort McMurray and hasn't been available for comment. Today, her party promised to invest $3 billion over 20 years to help improve oil sands technology if her party is re-elected. Meanwhile, NDP leader Brian Mason is calling for reforms to the electricity system to make rates more affordable for families and businesses. He wants large power companies to pay their own way for new electricity lines, and he would also end deregulation. Alberta's Liberals say they will put $100 million, if elected April 23rd, into an incentive program to get more doctors to practice in rural areas. Party leader Raj Sherman says smaller centres are already being forced to use scarce resources to lure doctors to their areas. Now, a group of students at the University of Lethbridge is trying to break a stereotype with this provincial election. It's often been said that students are apathetic, that they don't vote. But this group says they're determined to show that they will vote, and come April 23rd, their vote could be a major role in the outcome. Daryl Rummold reports.
When Alison Redford dropped the writ on Monday, Parliament ended and the Get Out the Vote movement began, signing up students who pledged to vote come April 23rd. So far, they say they've already got 10,000 committed, all of whom say they're ready to make a difference in this campaign.
Our goal was 35,000 students across the province. We think that influence and the clout that comes from that is enough to pull the ear of these party leaders and draw the narrative of the campaign towards post-secondary issues.
And it's going to be a competitive election for the first time, so students should be able to recognize that they can have an impact on this, and if they see that their vote really matters, and they already have been, they're going to come out in droves to vote in this election.
Nearly 7,000 students live in the Lethbridge West riding, but in the last election, statistics show between 10 and 11,000 people actually showed up to the polls, meaning the majority of those students didn't vote. If they do this time around, it could have a massive impact on the outcome. The question is, will they? One of the big points of contention during the 2008 election was the inability to be able to vote on campus. Student representatives from the Get Out the Vote campaign say they've had talks with returning officers and at this point don't have the registered voters in order to have one here at the University of Lethbridge. Organizers are still hoping they can persuade returning officers to have a poll on campus, and that would certainly help their cause. Candidates say no matter where they vote or who they vote for, it's crucial that they exercise their right.
To me, that is very, very important. Not for myself, but for the country, for the province, because that's our future, and they need to take a lead.
Organizers of the Get Out the Vote campaign say their movement is a nonpartisan one. Their goal is to skirt the stigma that students are apathetic by giving them a reason to care. Daryl Rummold, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Organizers say they believe this will be the first competitive election in a generation, and students want to make sure that their voice is heard. Well, the list of forums for Lethbridge candidates vying for your vote is already getting longer. The Public and Holy Spirit school divisions are co-sponsoring election forums for both constituencies next week. A forum for Lethbridge West candidates is set for next Tuesday, 7 p.m. at Chinook High. Another for Lethbridge East will be held on Wednesday, 7 p.m. at LCI. The Southern Alberta Council on Public Affairs is also holding public forums those nights, but in opposite ridings. Lethbridge East candidates will meet this Wednesday. Lethbridge West on the following, or Lethbridge East on Tuesday. Wednesday will be Lethbridge West. Both forums start 7 p.m. at the downtown library. And the first all-candidates meeting is set for this Saturday. It's sponsored by Outreach Southern Alberta. Starts at 1 p.m. The Community of Christ Church. Turning to federal politics, Finance Minister Jim Flaherty engaged in a pre-budget day tradition today, buying new shoes. He also had a few words about what to expect in tomorrow's federal budget.
How's that?
It's pretty good, actually.
The plan to cut MPs' office budgets and other belt tightening will decrease spending by 6.9% or $30.3 million over the next 3 years. That's less than the deep cuts in spending on government programs for taxpayers expected in tomorrow's federal budget. David Spence is filling in for the lovely Dory Rossiter today. And Dory's had some pretty good weather for us. What about you? What have you got?
Well, we had some rain showers going through earlier today. All that stuff is now well off to the east, headed into Saskatchewan, and it looks like we're in for a period of drier weather, not necessarily settled weather, but drier weather, and some pretty impressive temperatures too. I think we'll see above average temperatures as we head into the weekend. The trick is to keep it going through the weekend. We'll see what we can do about that, and we'll take a look at the forecast for you and the rest of Southern Alberta later in the program.
Thank you, David. Well, the case of a Claresholm woman charged in connection with the murder of a Vulcan senior was briefly back before the courts today. 28-year-old Bobby Joe Parks is charged with obstruction of justice. The charges are related to the death of 77-year-old Otto Bunty Luce. His dismembered remains were found near Claresholm in January. Parks' lawyer is on vacation. An agent speaking on his behalf asked that the case be set over until May 9th. Now, Parks' boyfriend, Timmy Engel, is charged with first-degree murder and indignity to a human body in Luce's death. But he was in court today on another matter. Today, Engel appeared in Fort Macleod Court via closed-circuit television. He's accused of uttering threats, assault, and unlawful confinement in a domestic assault. Engel was out on bail on those charges when Luce was murdered. An agent representing Engel's defense lawyer told the court that they're still waiting on disclosure from the Crown. The case has been set over until April 25th. He's scheduled to return to court on the murder charge, though, April 2nd. Alberta's Chief Medical Officer of Health is stepping down. Dr. Andre Corriveau confirms to CTV that he has resigned and is moving home to Yellowknife. Corriveau arrived in Alberta from the Northwest Territories in early 2009, and he's heading back to his old job there as the Chief Medical Officer of Health. Corriveau took the Alberta job saying he wanted a challenge, and he got it. About a month into his 3-year tenure, H1N1 hit. Albertans were frustrated by long lineups and dwindling supplies to get the flu vaccine. The province's approach was reviewed a year later by the Health Quality Council of Alberta, and the 92-page report outlined 18 recommendations.
I arrived at a time where the whole healthcare system had been reorganized as well, so people had to figure out their roles and responsibilities, including me. It was a hard decision. I agonized for about a month, actually, back and forth in my own mind and talking to my wife and trying to discern what was the right thing to do at this point in my career.
Corriveau's contract was set to expire at the end of this month. He resigned about a week and a half ago. The province is accepting applications now to fill his position. Well, spring is finally here, and that means more of us are getting outside and getting active. People with allergies will tell you it's also the time of year for itchy eyes and runny noses. But as Michael Popeau finds out, cities may be contributing to increased pollen counts and rising rates of allergies by planting more male trees than female ones.
Most cities in North America aren't planting enough female trees. That's because male trees aren't as messy. Female trees create problems with falling seeds and fruit.
We buy varieties that are sensitive to our climate, so we grow trees, we order trees that grow well here. We try to buy the seedless variety of a lot of our trees because seed is a problem, it's a nuisance tree.
The biggest concern usually is more the seed and the mess that it makes over the whole entire season as opposed for a few weeks for the allergy season.
More male trees may provide for a cleaner, more cost-effective city, but it comes with increased symptoms of allergies due to higher pollen counts.
Allergy being produced by the male trees for the pollen and no female trees to take that pollen away.
Yet the city of Lethbridge isn't taking the increased risk of allergies into account when planning new landscaping and tree planting.
At the present time, we don't have any policies related to what you can and can't plant, but we do get several calls in the summertime that say, my son, my daughter, my family is allergic to the tree, and is there a chance to have the tree removed?
However, medical studies find the fluff from the female cottonwood tree to be hypoallergenic, which is to say it's not what's causing the allergy. So why is the city willing to cut down trees that aren't posing a problem?
We have about 15 trees marked in Henderson Park for removal over the next couple of years. So we do have a program in place specifically for allergies to the female cottonwoods.
Okay.
People do have to decide. It's a trade-off if they want to have the allergy season that's more of a concern.
Allergies have been increasing over the last 20 years due in part to the rising pollen levels that are associated with planting male trees. Yet none of the Canadian cities researched, including Lethbridge, take this into account when planning their municipal landscaping. Experts suggest, whether it's in your own backyard or at the city level, that the best solution is always thoughtful planning. Michael Popove, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The highest pollen counts occur in the month of April, and once a person acquires seasonal allergies caused by trees and pollen, they generally have it for life. Giant magnets have been brought in to pick up millions of dollars in loonies and toonies that spilled in a highway crash in northern Ontario. The coins were in a Brinks tractor trailer that hit a rock north of Kirkland Lake around 4 a.m. this morning. 2 men from the Brinks tractor trailer are in hospital with life-threatening injuries. Another transport piled into the Brinks rig, and there were a number of smaller chain reaction accidents. No other serious injuries. Ontario Provincial Police have closed the highway and are guarding the cash until it can be picked up. And speaking of loonies, close slightly lower today. Here are the day's numbers.